Okay, in this tutorial, this is kind of a review tutorial where I want to go over basically my process when I make a new page. Okay, so now I'm ready to pull in some pictures. Let me clean up shop here. This is one thing I love about digital scrapbooking is you can just close the file instead of having to pack it up and put it back into your document and back into your big old bag you're carrying around. Alright, so that done. Next thing I'm going to do, and there's a million ways you can do this. I'm just going to kind of do it simple and easy for this tutorial, but I have lots of frames in here, so I'm going to pull in one of these, and these are really cute, make it a little easier so I don't have to really think about it. And I'll turn that a little bit, and I just kind of decide beforehand where I want them to be. Sometimes what I'll do if I don't have frames is I will draw the squares of kind of, what doesn't really matter what color they are, but like, okay, I want a picture here and a picture here and a picture. I'll like decide beforehand where I want the pictures to go to kind of block out the page. Because this one has some frames, I'm going to use the frames to do that because the frames have to be a certain size. So anyway, so I have this, I can pull this one here. And sometimes I change it. I haven't even looked at my pictures. I don't even know what size they all are exactly, but I'm just going to get a general idea. I can always change it and alter it. This is just kind of the way I work. Everyone has their own way, but I think it helps a lot when you're starting out in digital. I think you're less overwhelmed if you can see somebody actually doing it and go, okay, yeah, that's possible. I can do that. That's realistic for me. I also like to pay attention as I'm doing this to where am I going to put my journaling. That's a question I'm always asking myself because to me it's very important that you have journaling because I just don't like a ton of pictures or just I'm very anti let's put a picture in the middle of nowhere with a ton of elements around it and not explain why. Like to me this is supposed to be a journal, it's supposed to tell a story. But everyone has, their own thing. So there's no wrong way to do it. But so I'm going to add a little shadow on this one. I want it to be a little bit more, see it a little bit better. So there's that. And, I'm just kind of going along, seeing what I can see, what I want to do. Oops. And any empty space, I am very anti-empty space. I totally cannot handle empty space. Like when you see those pages where they have this big, huge 12 by 12 page with a tiny picture in the corner, I'm like, how can you stand all that empty space? I am not capable of doing that, but if you are, good for you. Okay, so now I've kind of blocked out my page and I'm so much less overwhelmed now because I kind of know what I'm going to put where. And you have a couple of choices here. You can pull your pictures in and resize them. Sometimes I will go in and block that. Do Control T. I just drew a little shape there and put it up behind it and everything. And the reason that you would block it first is because then you can pull your picture in and just use your clipping mask to fit it in there. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I pull in, say this one here, and I drag it in. Make sure it's right on top of where that little shape is that I drew. And I'm going to go to Layer, Create Clipping Mask. Now I can move the picture wherever I want it. I'm going to do Control T and drag it in. And that just, I love that because it gives me a lot more control over exactly where I'm going to put it. And I can kind of decide, I can change it, whatever. So I like to do that. And what's sad is I did not ever scrapbook that way until maybe a year ago. Somebody asked me to do a tutorial on it. And so I was like, oh, let me figure out how to do it. And then I'm like, where has this been all my life? So anyway, I think that's a great way to do it. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to drop shadow that. Now these are still two separate things. Okay, so if you're done, if you're absolutely sure that's what you want, you might want to highlight them both and do Control E so that it's now just the picture. You don't have that background anymore. So I've pulled in this picture and it's a little dark, so I'm going to do Control M and I'm going to lighten it a little bit. Unfortunately, Ripley had a total snuggie in that picture, but there's nothing I can do about it. So it's a little beyond my Photoshop skills to fix that, but anyway. So I just that's how I kind of lightened the picture a little bit. You can do a lot more than that, but I'm good with that. I don't feel a need to do more than that. So here's the other way. If you don't do the clipping mask, I'm just going to pull it in that's behind it, do Control T, make it the size that I want it to be, kind of fit it in. Okay, and then with the extra, I just click on my little polygonal lasso tool, go across here, press delete, and this way. So that's the other way I do it. I'm sure there are professionals out there that are like, you're crazy, but that's the way it works for me. So I'm going to fill in the rest of these off camera so we're not sitting here forever. Okay, one other little technique I wanted to show you as I was filling this in, I caught myself doing it and I went, oh, I'm going to tell them about that. I've pulled this picture in. This is if you're not using the clipping mask. So it's behind, I've sized it, and I need to get rid of everything on the outside. So what I like to do is I'll take my little, let me go back, this tool right here, polygonal lasso, and I'll just highlight everything that's going to be inside it. Now if I press delete, of course, I'll delete what's on the inside. So I'm going to go to select inverse, and now I highlight everything else. So when I press delete, it gets, make sure you're on the right layer when you do that. So now when I press delete, it gets rid of everything on the outside. And then Control D is to deselect, which I use that a lot. You can also go here to deselect. It's up here somewhere. Right there. But I prefer to use the shortcut key. So I'll add a drop shadow to that. So now my page is starting to show up. I've got, in my world, I see this empty space here and I want to die. It drives me crazy. So I usually fill that with some sort of element. Now this is actually a beach kit, and we're not at the beach, so I'm trying to find stuff that isn't too beachy. So I'm going to grab these little flip-flops, maybe stick those right there, maybe turn them, whatever, to kind of fill in that empty space, because I can't handle empty space. Some scrapbookers are really good at like grouping elements together beautifully. I am not that person. I really appreciate it. I think it's beautiful, but I'm not very good at it. So pull this all the way down to the bottom. I want this to be kind of in the background, this one that I just pulled in. So I moved its layer so that it's, all the way to the back. And I think I'll make a couple more of those. Maybe turn it a little bit, do Control T to turn it so that it doesn't look exactly like the other one. I'm always looking for things like that. Lindsay Jane does a lot of those where she'll have like a splatter like this, like a big glitter splatter. And I just think it gives it, look at that. I just love that. That just makes, to me, that just made the whole page just pop. So I love the glitter splatters. I think they're cool. I might want to put it up higher though. Yeah. So yeah, your layer order can really make a difference too, so pay attention to that.